much about Rick Perry before he entered, so I YouTubed him, and all the related videos were clips from Sling Blade. Also glad Herman Cain's out. I knew he didn't stand a chance. Terrible politician. But I loved him on the Jeffersons. He was terrific. Herman Cain, of course, is known for his 999 tax plan, which coincidentally are also the first 3 numbers of the Republican phone sex hotline, where for $3 a minute, they'll screw your future. I think it's a pretty big indication that a party's become way too fascist when their most sensible candidate is literally named Huntsman. That's a sign right there. Gingrich. I just don't think Gingrich has the stamina. I think the run is too difficult for him, just physically, you know? It's not entirely his fault. They say every white fat's 10 pounds, but it's a shame the only woman he can commit to is Aunt Jemima. I think ultimately the race is going to come down to Romney on Santorum, which coincidentally is Marcus Bachman's screensaver. You just know when he's in bed with Michelle, he's thinking of Romney. After all, every catcher needs a mitt, folks. And with that, I would like to bring up your headliner for this evening. You can hear him on Fridays on the Stephanie Miller Show. Bill Maher calls him one of his favorite comedians. His album is currently #1 on the Billboard iTunes chart, and he is the only man in here who I will admittedly defer to in a good hair competition. Please put your hands together for Mr. John Fugelsang.
Well, it sure is great to be around so many people doing the Lord's work. Thank you very much. I can't tell you how thrilled I am to be back in the state that gave Bob Dylan to America and Michelle Bachmann to the U.S. Congress. That's some serious yin-yang action, and I'm very proud of it. I always love coming to Minneapolis because in this town, I appear tan. There are parts of Wisconsin where I can pass for Haitian, but I gotta tell you, I've always heard about the Blue State Ball. I've always heard about what fun the Blue State Ball is. I've always heard, be very careful you say the words in the correct order of the Blue State Ball. It is just such an honor to be here. I was here a few months ago with Stephanie Miller's Sexy Liberal Comedy. On behalf of Stephanie, who would like to attend, were it not for the fact that she's too inebriated to stand. And it's great to be here, because I was watching Fox News the other night, because I'm a thinker. And, come on, who loves Fox News more than liberals who are going to scream at their TV? Give me a... Why do you not love Fox News? Fox News is like a mecca for people who hate mecca. It's beautiful. I actually got a satellite dish so I can see Bill O'Reilly in the original German, but... So I'm watching Fox News, and it's rather interesting, because I learned through watching Fox that God told Herman Cain, and Michelle Bachmann, and Newt Gingrich, and Mitt Romney, and Rick Perry all to run. Yes! God told all 5 of them to run for president, and that, my friends, is proof that God loves us and wants us to laugh. Fans of Mitt Romney, and I love Mitt Romney. Are you like me? When you watch Mitt Romney speak, do you ever say, hey, how did Satan manage to impregnate Ward Cleaver? I'm telling you, I mean, no disrespect, I have watched in every one of these debates. I watch Romney in every debate, and I'm like, if I could be that stiff for 90 minutes, I'd work in Daycare. Barack Barack Obama's the guy they love to hate, but Mitt Romney's the guy they really hate to love. And it's going to be a lot of fun for all of us over the next few months. Mitt Romney, of course, is a man who says that government can't create jobs, and he's spending millions of dollars to get a government job. Folks, the man is such an empty shell, hermit crabs can live inside of him. But Fox News, they don't like Mitt Romney too much because he's a flip-flopper, of course. You hear this all the time. We'll be hearing this over the next few months. What a flip-flopper is. I actually call him reversible mittens. Because that man has flipped more than a crack house mattress. But here's the thing. I was thinking about it, and I thought, you know, it's not fair. It's not fair for conservatives or liberals to call Mitt Romney a flip-flopper. Because think about it. Mitt Romney has been completely consistent his entire career in that he will say or do or believe anything to get elected. And he has never wavered from that position. He has been the most consistent human windsock in all of politics. But the Republican Party, my friends, has gone through seven front-runners for president in the last 5 months. I think we know who the real flip-floppers are. 7 front-runners for president, and they say gay guys are promiscuous. Now, of course, there's Mitt, and I do love Mitt, but let's just really quickly go over who the 7 frontrunners have been. Besides Mitt, it all began, of course, with Michelle Bachmann, sweetheart of Minnesota. I know she's in Iowa. Hey, listen, I'm sorry, I'm a comedian, okay? So not only do I love Michelle Bachmann, I think America's ready for a second president who believes Rwanda was JJ's sister on Good Times. That's a good thing. Look, I got nothing against Botox, ladies. I got nothing against Botox, but Ms. Bachmann, I'm sorry. You can't be the face of a movement when your face has no movement. Of course, I admire Michelle Bachmann the most because she can see both sides of complex issues. For example, Michelle Bachmann is opposed to gay marriage and in one. Now, after Iowa, Michelle Bachmann pulled out faster than Marcus post-reading duty. She was the front-runner briefly because she took the time to buy the Iowa caucus. So then we got Rick Perry, and I love Rick Perry. I hope he lasts a long time. I don't know if he will. It's kind of funny to see the most pro-death penalty governor in history be dead man walking. Of course, that's because Rick Perry's a good Christian. We all remember how Jesus said, "Forgive us our trespasses," as we lethally inject those who trespass against us. I love Rick Perry, and not just because he thinks Arab Spring is a Saudi deodorant. Of course, Rick Perry is very opposed to gays in the military. That was my favorite, that nasty, bigoted little commercial he did, where our Christian soldiers have to... He actually thinks that it's going to compromise the values of Christian soldiers to serve beside gay people while they're shooting people. And I don't want you to think I'm being mean to Rick Perry. I prefer to say I'm denying him clemency. But the best thing about Rick Perry is how much this man hates Mitt Romney with the burning white-hot fire of 1,000 suns. These guys hate each other so much they can both sing lead in the Eagles. I mean, you watch these guys do the debates, and it's like a Just for Men ad gone horribly wrong. And there's the band next door. Wow. It's just like we're in a shitty club, isn't it? Oh, you'll barely hear the band, don't worry. Sounds like a reggae band's having sex in the dorm room next to us. So Rick Perry didn't last long, and then we got Herman Cain, my favorite candidate of all. Herman Cain almost became the first black man to get another black man elected president. Now he's going on tour to blame liberals for his campaign not working. I call that the wine, wine, wine plan. Because we all know the Cain train ran off the tracks because the conductor couldn't stop chasing caboose. runner became Newt Gingrich. Americans, can you believe this guy actually got a turn as the front runner for the GOP nomination for president? Newt Gingrich couldn't find moral high ground with a Sherpa. This week, of course, Newt's back running a positive campaign, which I love because you might not know this. Every time Newt Gingrich talks about a positive campaign, an angel coughs up blood. That's true. Newt Gingrich is kind of like one of those guys on Survivor who you don't want to see him win $1 million, but you want him to stay on the show because he's so evil he makes it less boring to watch. And I just want to pay Gene Hackman any amount of, Gene Wilder, any amount of money to call up Newt Gingrich in his Willy Wonka voice and scream, "You get nothing! You lose! You get nothing!" So then the next runner was, of course, Ron Paul. And I love Ron Paul. Ron Paul has made his bed, but he can't lie in it because some of his friends need to borrow the white sheets for a while. Conservative libertarian friends who they're not angry that Ron Paul published this stuff. They're angry that we're angry about it, which is hilarious. I don't know if I'd vote for Ron Paul for president because I think he's actually running for a lawless Old West cattle baron. I would vote for Ron Paul for mayor of Deadwood in a second. You know? I mean, he put the Aryan back in libertarian, this cat, and I love him. Here's why the world's kind of like Ron Paul, because Ron Paul's like an amazing Swiss watch that's incredibly accurate half the time and scares the crap out of you the other end. Ron Paul does prove one thing very important. You can believe in science and religion, but you are not allowed to believe in Ayn Rand and Jesus. Doesn't work. Which leads us to the most recent frontrunner, Senator Rick Santorum, who I love because he's kind of like the logical conclusion of Eddie Haskell from Leave It to Beaver. Not love a guy in a pastel sweater vest who hates gay men. And here's what I like about these Republican candidates, right? They all love Jesus. That's the one thing they agree about, am I right? They all love Jesus. They act like Jesus is their mascot. They think he's on the sidelines waving pom-poms for the GOP. So I say we should nominate Jesus to run as a candidate for the Republican Party. Then they'd have to actually vote for a guy who was a peaceful, radical, non-violent revolutionary, hung around with lepers, hookers, and criminals, a man who never spoke English, was not an American citizen, was anti-capitalism, anti-wealth, completely anti-death penalty, anti-public prayer, yes he was, Matthew 6:5, anti-public prayer, but never once anti-gay, never mentioned abortion, never mentioned premarital sex, never fought for tax cuts for the wealthiest Nazarenes, never called never justified torture, never asked a leper for a copay, and was a long-haired, brown-skinned, it's in Revelations, brown-skinned, homeless Middle Eastern Jew. Only if you believe what's actually in the Bible. I have a very Catholic upbringing, an extremely Catholic upbringing. We used to have open casket reunions. My mother is an ex-nun, and my father was an ex-Franciscan brother, so I grew up admiring Jesus, the way any guy admires mom's first husband. But I gotta admit, you beautiful, sexy liberals in Minneapolis, I have come to view Jesus in the way I've come to view Elvis. I love the man, but a lot of his fan clubs scare me. Down when I see these so-called Christians using Jesus to justify their bigotry towards our gay and lesbian and transgender and bisexual brothers and sisters. I come from a very homophobic place, Long Island, New York, heart of the Guido Belt, okay? I understand homophobia, but then, I grew up around all that, but then I got away. I live in Greenwich Village now, my best friend's gay, I hang out in gay bars, that's where all the cool women are, guys. I'm a straight guy who hangs out with gay guys, I'm a fat stag. What do they say? You know what's going to happen if you let a man marry a man? Yeah, 2 more chicks for you to strike out with. Steve, not Steve. Reverend, God made Adam and Steve too, and Adam and Steve can adopt some of them their accidents that Adam and Eve don't want. Being gay is natural, hating gay is a lifestyle choice. So-called Christians get it from, because Christ never said a damn thing about gay people. St. Paul was talking about Roman practices. Deuteronomy is about male prostitution. Sodom and Gomorrah is actually a story about gang rape of angels. It is. Read it. Funny shit. All their hate comes from one line in the book of Leviticus, where God allegedly said, "Ye shall not lie with a man as with a woman, that is an abomination." Shall not lie with. Now, it said nothing about one guy on all fours. One guy leaning against the men's room stall while Republicans send their place lookout. So I say, okay, great. You want to hang your hate on that one passage in Leviticus, you Christian homophobes? You want to hate that much because you think God wants you to hate that much? You go ahead, but you better follow every law of Leviticus. And that means you don't just have to hate gay men, you have to stone them to death in the street. And I don't know if y'all have noticed, the gay guys have been working out. They're ready. You gotta follow every law, and that means you are obliged by God to stone to death children who are gluttons or drunks. Bye-bye, Bush twins. Anyone who cuts their hair at the temples or tattoos the flesh, so long Marine Corps. Anybody who works on the Sabbath, that's Saturday. Fuck you, NASCAR. Anybody who commits adultery in the same passage of the Bible, it is mandated any adulterer gets death, and that includes in the Old Testament divorce and remarriage. So what this means, my Judeo-Christian homophobic friends, if you really believe the part of the Bible that says being gay is a sin, then you owe it to God to kill Rush Limbaugh 3 times. We should not do because we're liberals and like Jesus we hate violence. So, the funny thing is the Bible does prohibit men with men, but at no point in the Bible does God ever forbid women with women. And I find it just a bit telling, folks, that the Almighty and Vivid Video have the same exact policy. Do we still like Obama Minneapolis or what? Schism going on in the progressive world right now. I know a lot of folks are really down on the president, and I get it. I hear all the arguments, and I understand. I get that he caved on the public option, yes, and he caved on Gitmo, yes, and he caved on the Bush tax cuts, yes. I get it. The guy has caved so many times, there are minors trapped inside of him. I get it. What does he do, friends? What does he do? Every time you're ready to give up on this president, every time you're going to give up hope, every time you want to call down the room service and say, hey, man, I ordered an FDR, y'all sent up a Clinton. Every time! We want to give up on Barack Obama. What does the man do? He comes out, gives another speech, and we're all like, damn, Urkel grew up all right. But you wouldn't know this listening to Mitt Romney, because Mitt Romney is a guy who in one speech will say the president is pessimistic and talks about hope too much. And they're going to keep on trying to blame Barack Obama for this economy. And my friends, you can argue over whether the stimulus should have been bigger. I'll argue that point myself. But blaming Barack Obama for this economy is like blaming your hangover on the guy making breakfast. I tell all my conservative friends, hey man, if your captain hit the iceberg, you don't get to yell at the rescue boat, because it takes a lot longer than 3 years to clean up 8 years of elephant shit. Republican friends, I do, because I love Republicans, and so do you. We all love Republicans. I mean, we don't like who they vote for, but every progressive in here has a conservative in their life that they love, just like every liberal, every conservative has a liberal in their life that they pretend to tolerate. It's beautiful. And no one ever sets out to become a liberal. Nobody ever says, hey, I'm going to be ahead of my time and have morally advanced ideas that make my neighbor with a bald eagle fetish call me unpatriotic. Nobody ever sets out to be that way. But every now and then you wake up and somebody says, hang on a second, I'm moral, I'm smart, I'd rather my tax dollars help people here than blow them up over there, and my taste in music doesn't suck, I'm a liberal! sure you do too, because these are not the same Republicans we grew up with, brothers and sisters, am I right?
Right!
We all have Republicans we love, but this is not the same. Mitch McConnell? Mitch McConnell? This guy's like if Darth Vader and Elmer Fudd had sex. And you're on the Senate floor going, be very quiet. President. Dan Quayle's son is a congressman now, Ben Quayle. Did you see his commercial? He did a commercial last year where he said, Barack Obama is the worst president in American history. And I'm like, well, the douche doesn't fall far from the bag. Well, look, we all love our Republican brothers and sisters, and that's the thing. Only love is going to bring them into the light. Only love is going to make them realize that the Occupy Wall Street speaks for them a lot more than Fox News and John Boehner ever will. And that's why it's not being liberal, because you have to have three burdens. You got to be the nice one, you got to be the smart one, you got to be the moral one, and you got to put up with a lot of ignorance. Because these aren't the same Republicans. When we were growing up, I don't care how old you are, there were three basic kind of Republicans we all knew and loved. Number one, the conservative Christians. My favorites, the people who worship Jesus as a god, because that's a lot easier than following his extremely liberal teachings. I tell my Republican friends all the time, hey, Barack Obama is not some brown-skinned anti-war socialist trying to give away free health care. You're thinking of Jesus. The Wall Street guys, the golden calf worshippers, the Reaganomics guys we can thank for this glorious economy right now.
Yes.
These people actually want to put Ronald Reagan's face on the $50 bill. Have you heard about this? It's incredible. It's this whole movement now. They want to remove Ulysses Grant and replace it with Ronald Reagan.
No.
I say, better idea, put Reagan's face above Grant's and wait a few decades to see if he gradually trickles down.
Yeah.
And finally, my favorite kind, the third kind of Republican we all grew up knowing and loving, the guys who like Tom Clancy books. But now it's changed. There's a new breed of Republican out there, and y'all know what I'm talking about. A brand new kind. Not like the kind of Republicans we know. The new breed is angrier and louder and dumber and meaner. I call them the illiterati. Now, first you got the birthers, the people who still believe Barack Obama has a time machine he used to place a birth announcement in a Hawaii newspaper in 1961, and they're racists, okay? These people have never asked to see a white politician's birth certificate in their life. They are racist. They're not bigots, okay? They're not bigots. Racism is institutionalized bigotry. A bigot says, I don't like Obama because he's black. A racist says, I have no problem with Obama being black, but I'm pretty sure he's not from this country because I read that somewhere. That's racism. You don't even question it. And I tell my racist friends all the time, hey man, I saw Barack Obama dance on the Ellen Show. Trust me, the guy's half white. This Minneapolis, okay? Arsenio hasn't done this in 15 years with Barack Obama. The second kind of Republican, I'm sure you all have to deal with all the time, the deathers. The people who don't like Obamacare, because Obamacare is your blueprint for socialism. It's your blueprint for socialism. Let me tell you something about Obamacare. I have no problem with people who want to bring pre-existing conditions back. I have no problem with calling the Affordable Care Act Obamacare, but if you do, then you better call Social Security FDR care, call Medicare LBJ care, and tax cuts for rich guys who don't need it, W care. Yeah! I mean, the Affordable Care Act is not a blueprint for socialism. Again, you're thinking of the New Testament. But finally, my favorite group, and I'll leave you with this, the teabaggers. Let's talk about teabagging for just 1 second, yeah. We're all family here. How old are you, sir? You're 14? It's time to learn about teabagging. Now, you guys know what teabagging is slang for, correct? You're a hypocrite. Because my dad didn't. Now, for those of you who who don't know, teabagging refers to a disgusting, unholy, vile sexual act engaged in by gay men with gay men, or by straight men with amazing, wonderful, spectacular women. Save a marriage, ladies. I'm just helping you out here, okay? So my father died last year, and my dad was a former Franciscan brother, as I said before. He taught history to Catholic boys in Brooklyn. He wore the brown robes and the rope belt and walked amongst the people like the lost Jedi of Flatbush. When my dad went into hospice, he did what a lot of liberals do. He sat in his chair, watched Fox News, and screamed at the TV for fun. And so I'd call him every day, and I'd say, like, hey, Pop, how you feeling? Oh, I'm watching these teabaggers protesting on the mall in D.C. Oh, yeah? Are they angry? Angry? Teabaggers get testy. Well, what do they get mad about, Pop? Well, from what I understand, they're upset about Obama's stimulus plan. What do you mean? Well, apparently, these people want to teabag Obama because his package is way too big. Are you sure about that, Pop? Yeah. It's a lot of folderol, let me tell you something. This is all your Rush Limbaughs and your Glenn Becks getting these people all riled up to vote against their own self-interest. What do you mean? I'm saying, when these people go teabagging, it's a couple of big mouths controlling all the nuts. Dad, that's a little hard to swallow. So my name is John Fugelsang, and I'm honored to be here tonight.